Oh, Travis Wayne Goodsell. Mormon culture is extremely cruel. And to illustrate, I've got several personal examples from my own life. I've told you that my mom especially has more Danite DNA in her than my dad. My dad only has Danite DNA through a hoops woman who married into the Goodsell line, whereas my mom has a number of males who have been a main feature in her mom's family. And so when my grandma Yearsley married my grandpa, the merging of the Danite blood became official with their firstborn daughter, my mother. And so I've explained how my mom is a white supremacist and was very cruel as a mother. Mommy dearest. Don't watch that movie. It's sad. But I went off to Rick's to escape. I'm 18, I'm free. Rick's, take me away. My parents are paying for it. And I quickly learned about different dating techniques, one of which was making candy signs, either for just a regular poem to send to a woman, or a guy that you have a crush on, or most often it was used to invite a guy or a girl to an event or a dance or an activity of some kind. And you'd use candy bars with the titles of the candy bars as part of the message throughout the message. And so hold that thought, because we're coming to it. And so I was thrust into the singles ward, younger singles ward at first. The first ex abandoned the marriage, said she didn't want her kids learning Hebrew. I had just deciphered Paleo-Hebrew, and that was her final straw. One of the greatest discoveries of mankind, and she says, I'm out. Okay, dear. If you don't understand how language is one of the greatest discoveries, you've got some issues that you need to communicate, get out. And so my stake president pulls me into his office, and says that I know my responsibilities, that I should go into a singles ward. Cruel to be kind in the right measure. Danites, just when you needed them most, they betray you. It's the Danite culture. So I went to the younger singles ward as a divorced guy. Forced divorce. Forced economically ruined. Because the state of Utah says, bleep you. husband who failed to control and dominate his wife. Because if you don't know, Mormon women are supposed to obey their husbands. In section 132, a disobedient wife is supposed to kill herself. And pre-1991 wife. Did you know that, women? You're supposed to kill yourself if you get divorced. How many of you have been obedient to the living prophet? Danites, what can you do? And so instead, these virgins, sort of, we had a bishop who got up for one, it may have even been a sacrament meeting, where fast and testimony meeting, purposely taking up the time to keep the kids from speaking, and spent a long time going over the list of different names for different types of masturbation. I had no clue what they were. I heard pearl necklace and I went, wait a minute, that's what ZZ Top is talking about? Oh my God, a bishop! Oh, hilarious. But these sweet and innocent Danite virgins believe that divorced men, temple covenants, if you're divorced, you violated your temple covenant and therefore you're evil. And so therefore I was now unworthy for them. Clean and pure Danite virgins with all the various masturbation techniques that they're using. Oh my God. Seriously. Over 50. I was just like... this was before cell phones. And so nobody was recording it so that I can write them down on a list. And then Google search, because we didn't have Google search back then either. But yeah, I was unworthy for them. And I was told time and time again, go stick with your own kind. Oh, I'm not human. Yay! As I have loved you, get the hell out of my life. This new commandment, you must obey immediately, get out of my life. By this shall men know I'm not an easy earth girl. Or Dan, I should stick to the theme, huh? Earth girls are easy? Nobody knows that movie? Okay. And so I had just turned 30 and was about, I think it's 30 when the cutoff was. And so it was going to be my 31st birthday. The replacement bishop, who had been the counselor, had pulled me aside one activity night and begged me to stay. because he saw the influence I was having on some of the other guys in the ward, and he was hoping that I would stay to continue that influence on them. As he and I both understood, I was never going to find a mate in the meat market of the singles ward of Danite, Utah. And so I understood that I was never going to find love and happiness ever again. But I had found I can't remember how we connected and got together. Could have been from work. Can't remember now. But her name was Candy. Isn't that interesting? And she, of course, knew all the jokes from music lyrics about candy. I want candy, and others. But I never used that against her. And I was having a wonderful time. I was assuming she was too. There was one date where I dropped her off during a rainstorm, and she forgot her keys to the house. And the house was all locked up, so do I leave her there in the rain? No, of course not. We sat in my car, waited for her parents to come home. Her parents came home, and her dad saw the fogged up windows, raining, so fog, and he thought we were doing naughty stuff, because that's what fathers do. You're on drugs, aren't you? No, all I want is a Pepsi. You're on drugs. We think it is in your best interest, my best interest. What do you know about my best interest? Suicidal tendencies. Shows you my age. And so, yeah, I didn't know how old she was. I'm assuming she was legal. And she was, because she helped me transition, as her father forbade me from dating her again. And so she took me to the older singles ward over off Fort Union Boulevard behind the fire station. And it's not a ward, it's a branch. So I can get confused and call the bishop or branch president or bishop or vice versa. The church gets messed up that way. We had more than enough. The older singles branch had 2 elders quorums and relief societies. They refused to have a high priest group, even though there were a few elders who were not elders, were high priests. So Nelson was being prepped through this test module to screw over high priests. Church has been doing that for a long time now. Doing human experimentation on the Mormons. And so, yeah, she takes me. Oh, let's go to the older singles ward. Wouldn't that be great? Oh, yeah, well. She dropped me off. She sat somewhere else in the audience. Went home with another guy. Oh, great. Yay. I belong to the Church of Danite Christ. You do know that is the secret sign that Helaman talks about. Jesus. Constantine created them. Danites knew this. It's So the Danites use Jesus as the secret sign for their club, and then incorporated the temple rituals of keep it a sacred secret, otherwise you have to kill yourself, and here, magic underwear for you, you must wear it. It's our little sacred Snickers. And so we eventually got a branch president who was literally a full-on Danite white supremacist. And we're cleaning the church one Saturday, and he and I get to the couch in the lobby, pulling it out to vacuum, and he's confiding in me as he's condemning me for being an intellectual. Yeah, Joseph Smith is a translator of Hebrew and, by now, an Egyptian, and I'm an intellectual that needs to be shunned. As he then bragged about how he'd never even read the Book of Mormon. Yay! Church is so true. Book of Mormon's true, because I haven't read it. Yay, Danites! Surely you have a dizzying intellect. Wait till I get going. Or truly you have a dizzying intellect. It's been a while. Princess Bride. Putrescence. And so yeah, he wanted the elders to wear white shirts when passing the sacrament, and the bread had to be white bread. Despite the Doctrine and Covenants, nope, bread must be white bread, and you must wear white shirts, and of course the tie. Otherwise you are verboten from passing the sacrament. As it's an older singles ward, there are no deacons, so it's all elders. And yes, Joseph Smith established the priesthood and the priesthood offices with women. March 17th, 1842. Read it. I did the video on it. I thought, you know what, maybe I should read it and do a video on it. Oh my God! I've gotten to the point where I've studied enough church history to know I have full confidence that whatever new subject I go into, there will be bombshells that will destroy the prophets in the current church. Because this is not the church of Joseph Smith. When Nelson said that, he meant it. He was not referring to the Book of Mormon, even though he did to cover it up. He said he's hinge pointing. Do you not understand what that means? Do you not understand that the church is becoming evangelical Islamists? The two groups of religious bodies that will want nothing to do with the church. And they're trying to appeal to them. I'm sure that will yield a lot of fruit. Just like all of the many programs that have been tried in the church over the decades. The human experimentation. Oh, God. So, yeah, I was abandoned into the older singles ward branch. And there, to cut this all short, because we won't go through all the memory lane information, we'll focus on one particular, and then get to the concluding. There was a woman that we started dating, and she was testing me to see if I was worthy, and it turns out that I wasn't. And the manner in which she let me know was through ghosting. Yes, ghosting was long before cell phones. The Danite women in Utah have been using that for generations. Because as my white supremacist Danite mom told me, ignore them and they'll go away. That's where it all comes from. And so, yeah, it was her birthday. And so I had bought her a blender. And it's the one kitchen device everybody should have. Have you not watched, it was Will Smith, Gene Hackman, it was the hacker cyber Big Daddy movie where a friend of Will Smith's drops off a game with a video disc cartridge of, that was Mercury Rising with Baldwin and Bruce Willis, the autistic boy. Makes me cry. That boy did an excellent job acting. But whatever the secret was that was handed off to Will Smith in the Victoria's Secret lingerie shop, he was putting himself out on the limb there as his wife is concerned, and Christmas is coming up, and so anyway. But in the movie, Will Smith's blender gets stolen as they try to Danite threaten him by trashing his home and planting surveillance devices inside. And so there's blender jokes during the movie. So who doesn't want a blender? But she wasn't home. Her birthday, she knew in advance I was coming, and she's not home, not answering. I'm concerned. I go around to the front, still no answering. I'm not going to break in, because what if she's not in danger? But because of my concern, knowing that she was expecting me and she's not answering, I call the police, and they tell me, well, you gotta wait 24 hours. Person's not missing until 24 hours, which 24 hours is all a sex trafficker needs. But I went home, left the birthday gift on the porch, left her a note, as I carry this around with me always when I go out, and have it at my wherever I'm. And nothing. So I call throughout the day. And then finally, after 5 p.m. or 6 p.m., maybe even 7 p.m., she answers. And I'm going, oh, thank God, you're alive. Are you okay? I was worried. I decided to go up the mountains with a girlfriend for a hike. And you chose not to let me know of your change in plans. It was over. She gave back the blender, so I took advantage of it. But that's one of the worst things you can do, is return a gift backed by love. If it's a mocking gift, yeah, you give it back, unless it's candy. And here we come. And so I got fed up with the older singles ward. Went back to the family ward. Turns out the Nazi Danite branch president was upset that I was not attending his branch. And so I was going to the Jordan River Temple daily. All of the temple workers knew me because I went daily. So when their shift was, each and every single week, and throughout the week, there I was. They saw me as the future of the church. And they were confident that the church is in good hands for the future. If only they knew that I had done the forbidden thing of actually studying the church and found out Joseph Smith is a translator of Hebrew and Egyptian. If only they knew. I'm the devil, the Antichrist. Because yes, if you're Danite, you cannot show Joseph Smith's the good guy and the true guy. You can't do that. Brigham Young, that's your focus. Because all those other branch-offs might have claim if Joseph is the good guy. Didn't realize that at the time. And so yeah, I go to the temple as usual, and the ordinance worker whose job it was at that time to check recommends was shocked. He knew me, and he's flagged. I'm flagged. And he says, have a seat over there, and he's got the concerned, oh no, the church is not true look on his face. The future of the church is now in jeopardy. I mean, it is one of those sad moments when you look at the big picture. And so I go and sit down, and the temple president is notified, and so he comes to the office and brings me in and says, yeah, your branch president flagged your temple recommend. There's nothing I can do about it. You'll have to talk with him. He's not my branch president. I'm in the family ward. Nothing I can do. It's one of those catch-22s that he took advantage of. And so I was no longer denied. I went and talked to the family stake president after appealing to, can't remember his name. He's now emeritus status. He was the member of the 70 in charge of the Salt Lake area from the presidency. I appealed to him, and he had contacted my family stake president. And so I meet him in his office, and gives me a can of nuts. Say a Danite. And I mean, it was cashews, but still, the message was clear. So he wasn't going to help me. And so, yeah, I never got my temple recommend back. And had been shunned from the church. And then one day, my sister answers, my sister, Tabitha, 17 years younger than I am, so now she's a teenager. She answers the door, and there's a group of women from the older singles ward. They didn't introduce themselves or anything like that. They just said, "We missed Travis at church. Here's some candy, bag of candy." She comes downstairs and says, "Some girls from church brought you a bag of candy." And she was getting that "they must like you," that kind of thing. I had to be the big brother and educate my little baby sister. As you already know what the bag of candy was from the clues I left you in this video. It was a bag of Snickers. And I pointed out to her, "It's a bag of Snickers. They're laughing at me." And her countenance fell, and she walked away. Her view of Mormons as the perfect race, the master race, was destroyed in that instant. She, by the way, had been sitting at the kitchen table with my mom, our mom, and I was going off on my mom about how she's wrong that Saddam Hussein caused 9/11. And my baby sister, Tabitha, breaks up my rant and says, "So are you a Democrat?" I'm in a rant, and she dares to throw dichotomy at me? I have never, ever voted for president since I turned 18, and that billionaire, I can't remember his name, he ran as an independent. And I had hope for America. I'm turning 18, I can now vote. Here's this independent who's sticking it to both parties. And he gets death threats for his family, and he's out. And then reruns again in 90. No, you blew it. If you cannot stand up to terrorists, you do not deserve to be president. If you can be extorted, you do not deserve to be president. I eventually would watch 24, so I know all about this. And so, yeah, I refused all these years until 2020, when I get betrayed by the first time ever voting for a presidential candidate. Because I knew, it's the latter days, I knew the Book of Mormon is true. And so when 1 Nephi chapter 1 says, "In the first year of the reign of King Zedekiah, king of Judah," I knew exactly what that meant by 2020. As you can find out from my videos. As it was too late for 2016. 3 Nephi chapter 7, in case you're wondering about 2020's election. And Captain Moroni in the Title of Liberty. That includes both the 2020 election and January 6th. Oops! Mormons instead went to the Capitol as seditionists, treasonous, terrorist traitors that they Danites are. Huh. Go figure. Who would have thought that Joseph Smith would be wrong and that President Ezra Taft Benson, in the BYU version, not the conference talk version, I have faith that the Constitution as prophesied by Joseph Smith will be saved, but it will not be saved in Washington. Oh, Joseph Smith is a fraud, is he? Great. Living prophet, yay! Oh, it's Benson as an apostle who said the dead prophets are worthless to us. The Book of Mormon is worthless to us. Mr. Book of Mormon said the Book of Mormon is worthless to us because we have a living prophet. That the messages of Jesus, even though that's the secret code that we're not Christian, that word, Joseph Smith was not Christian because the first vision tells us we're not Christian and Jesus is not our Christ. You ever read it? Do you know what it means? You know what creeds are? You know what the first creed was of Constantine? 325 AD CE? So there you have it. That's the Mormon culture. From the Danites, born and raised. This is how they behave. They have no problems being cruel, being mean, because it's all about the covenant path, literally. Because if you're not obedient, even if it's not your fault, you're worthless scum and you're supposed to kill yourself. And so yes, I get the clues from the prophets who got the suicide prevention hotline people to put a sign up saying, hey, you want to kill yourself? Good job! Literally, they altered the sign to say having thoughts of suicide is a good thing. Yeah, I caught that on my morning run when you first put that up. Had them put it up. I caught that. I caught it when Nelson called me a traitor over the pulpit of October 2021's General Conference. But it appears I got you back. And that may have come from others of you who have helped. Thank you. April 2020, gone. I went looking for it yesterday in my second appeal through a secret channel through YouTube, hoping to get it reversed for the video that was taken down. Because again, they purposely want to silence me on YouTube. And so, yes, yesterday, which I had forgotten, I'm not concerned about communicating with the prophets anymore. They called me a traitor. I've exposed them with the exposing of the little black book of the secret combination in America that the church is directly tied to. And so yes, they're Danites, they're terrorists, they're seditious, they're anti-government, they're anti-science, they're anti-humane, treasonous criminal organization. But yeah, I mean, to be called a traitor using Liberty Jail to justify it. I get it. I know code. They know I know code because I put a certain prophet in the hospital when I submitted my court response that morning after he finished with his interview with a rabbi from Israel. They waited 2 weeks to tell us. I was like, oh, and by the way, Elder Holland is out of the hospital. He was in the hospital? Because they can't let me know. They're pissed. I've exposed their sacred secret. And just like Helaman tells us, exactly what they do to those of us who are whistleblowers. They're doing it. So yeah, yesterday I had hacking, tampering with my computer, tampering with my programs. And I didn't even realize that I was still doing it. You know, the Danite video, I just inspired to do it, so I did it. It just happened to be for the Wednesday video. It's not my fault. But people know now. The prophets know now. And they're on the alert. Because I'm the enemy, not them. It's a wonderful life, and they wish the world would be without me. Send me an angel. Where are you? She has to be a she, no Clarence. Send me an angel. Either version. Either version. And if you're only familiar with one of the versions, there's another one.